Hey folks, this is Ariel Bro here out of Sierra Cast TV studio in the central New Jersey, and today we're gonna follow up on one of our previous videos where we talk about improving credit. So we discussed the action plan, things that person can do to improve credit in a meaningful way and hopefully in the fastest possible way, especially when they need make large purchases like they buying a home, they wanna or they buying a car. I mean, typically it really comes handy when people want to buy home, and it really comes down to improving the credit scores so they can qualify for lower interest rate. So today I want to talk about the using Goodwill letters to help improve the credit score and really fix the problems that people may have on their credit reports. So what is a Goodwill letter? The Goodwill letter is essentially what it sounds like, a goodwill letter. It talks when borrower approaches the creditor, whoever the creditor may be, any credit card, could be student loan, could be private loan, could be any kind of loan, maybe mortgage loan, and approaches the creditor and asks them to remove or erase some derogatory information, and in asking this on a goodwill and really presenting their point of view, why they fell behind, why they end up having a late payment, what happened, and many times people just don't do it. So for those who do use this goodwill letter, actually it can significantly improve their situation. In some cases, lender will say or creditor will say, no, I cannot do it. But in other cases, the lender will say, okay, I'll do it. That's fine. And yet in other cases, there will be some circumstances. Like, for example, the lender will say, I'll do it, but you, the borrower, have to do X, Y, and Z to achieve what you're asking for. So I found an example online of the Goodwill letter, and I kind of I want to go over the breakdown of this and show you a couple examples. So the thing number one that the Goodwill letter has to have is really appreciative tone. Just be thankful and conscientious. Don't over, like, people need to be realistic. Lender is not obligated to remove derogatory, lender or creditor is not obligated to remove derogatory information from the credit report, but you writing to them, you want to explain your point of view, what happened, why it happened, why a person borrower end up in that situation, and then and then hopefully get a good outcome of this where the lender actually take action and do what the borrower asked. So the second thing is, the borrower really need to take responsibility for what happened and be convincing and honest, admit that there was a late payment and explain why it happened. It's important to come up with a story that kind of makes sense, and it has to be a realistic story, and it has to be true story, it has to be honest story, that the people fell behind because of certain circumstances, and they just need to explain what the circumstances were. So it's not that they just didn't pay the payment because they didn't want to pay it, but there were some real things happened behind it that resulted in those late payments. The next thing is, the Goodwill letter should have a good reasoned payment history. So to persuade the creditor or lender to remove derogatory information from the credit report, really people need to show that they doing things that they can do. They making recently they've been doing making all those payments on time or ahead of time, and they had no issues, and they really want to really doing their best to improve their credit scores and their credit history. And then the last couple things is that proof, if there are any errors, it has to be discussed in this Goodwill letter. For example, if the borrower believes that some information is incorrect or was interpreted incorrectly, or something has to be updated or changed, that needs to be discussed. And also, this is the chance for the borrower to provide supporting information, provide some documents, and explain, go into detail and explain why they think that some derogatory information has to be removed or updated on the credit report. And it has to be simple, has to be to the point. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but it has to be realistic, it has to make sense. And most importantly, the lender or creditor need to buy into it. They need to see, valid points that the borrower is trying to bring attention to, trying to make the creditor or lender pay attention to. Okay, so here are a couple examples. So one letter essentially says, "To whom it may concern, thank you for taking time to read this letter," and the borrower go right into the circumstances. He says, "My mother fell terminally ill. I was the only one left to care for her. As such, I had to leave my job, and I had to spend my savings towards healthcare expenses. I fell on rough times financially, and was not able to make payments." So here there was a realistic situation. There was unforeseen situation, and that resulted in those late payments. So, and that's the reason why the borrower wanted that the creditor take that into consideration, and take responsibility for the person, take responsibility for the actions, and saying that they've been working their best to make payments on time, and therefore they would like the creditor remove those that negative information from the credit report. And here's a sample letter number 2. By the way, those sample letters I just got off of online. If you just Google it, Goodwill letter, you will probably find the same one. So the second one, it just talks about the inaccuracies in the credit report. The borrower believes that there were some inaccuracies that resulted in that negative information being there by mistake. So the borrower asks the creditor to check that inaccurate information and take action. And most of the time, even credit agencies will take action if the borrower provide that information. But really, the best way to go around this is really contact the creditor or the lender and work with lender to remove that negative information. Because all the credit agencies do, they essentially take information from lender and they kind of serve as a depository, like a sort of like a storage. They take that information from creditors. So that's why it's really essential to work with creditors and straighten out all these nuances and mistakes and late payments and whatever else they may be. The derogatory and negative information really has to be dealt with creditors if possible. So if creditor is not willing to talk to the borrower, then the borrower has a chance to go to credit agencies and dispute through credit agency, and then credit agency will reach out to the creditor. Okay, so where to send Goodwill letters? So specifically, you can look up the addresses magnifymoney.com. You will find these examples of the Goodwill letters, and there are addresses for Sallie Mae, for Great Lakes, for Navient. Navient is a common servicer for a lot of student loans. Fed loan, and there are some other addresses. This specific one's actually for a lot of student loans, but you can find all that information. Typically, if somebody trying to buy a home and the lender, the mortgage company, is willing to give a copy of the tri-merge report, that report will actually have on page 8 or somewhere at the end of the document. That report will have actually all the contact information the borrower needs to have to contact those companies. So every company that is somehow listed on the credit report, tri-merge credit report, most likely that contact information will be at the end of that report. So just if the borrower can, please reach out, ask your mortgage company to give you a copy of the report if there is some issue that you want to resolve directly with the creditor. Okay, so what to expect? Like I said, it can go both ways. The lender, the creditor can say, yeah, we'll take that into consideration and do some change, or they may say, no, we cannot do the change, and or the lender may just engage in conversation and just discuss more in depth with the borrower what happened and why it happened, and after that they may make up a decision on what they're going to do about this. But the good thing is that it costs basically nothing. It's just it takes time from the borrower. The borrower needs to write a letter explaining what happened, why the late payment happened, put a stamp and mail it. So that's really what's required from the borrower. So it's virtually costs nothing. So it is definitely worth doing, especially for people who have low credit scores and they don't qualify for as many mortgage programs when they look for homes. It would really make sense for them to do this kind of thing. I strongly recommend it. It takes a little bit of a time, but it's worth it. It's gonna significantly improve the credit score. So I hope you take that into consideration. use this opportunity to review. If you see some blemishes on the credit report, definitely reach out to creditors. Use Goodwill Ladder. It's a great tool. It's basically free. And over the course of a month of two, you may be able to correct some of those blemishes. Okay, so I hope you found this information useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out directly to me. You can call 609-222-1222. Again, 609-222-1222. Call, send text message, or leave a voicemail. Otherwise, you can reach me at the mortgage office I'm affiliated with, Contour Mortgage in Robbinsville, New Jersey. You can find it on Google Maps. Thank you for your attention. If you have any comments, suggestions, if you want to see some other topics us to discuss, leave a comments and we'll be more than happy to prepare another video on that specific subject. Have a good day. Thank you.